Okay, so I wanted to talk about the climate emergency and sustainability, and particularly I want to talk about CO2 and carbon emissions and CO2 equivalents. And the reason why is because engineers have a massive part to play in the release of CO2. So here's some statistics that I hopefully have correctly remembered. This one I know is a fact. 8% of all CO2 emissions comes from concrete production. 8%, that's a huge amount. That is a huge amount. 2.5% of CO2 comes from aircraft in use. 40% of CO2 is from is around building infrastructure. That's not just building things, that's using things. It's the lighting, the heating, all of that stuff. 40% of CO2 comes from that. Over 50%, I think it was 53% of CO2 comes from civil infrastructure. So that means roads and drains and sewers. But actually a big proportion, that structure, and of that 53%, about 30% of CO2 is from the building. So building and maintaining the roads and railways and things like that. And the other 70% is from cars, trains. It's from the users of that infrastructure. So all of us as engineers have a part to play in taking on and reducing CO2 in our atmosphere. And I don't want to get into why it's important. Not because I don't think it's important to talk about that, but just because we've only got a very limited amount of time. Hopefully you know about the climate emergency. If you don't know, I've got a talk, a Best of Bristol talk by Alex Dietzel, which I'm going to put below this, and I really recommend you watch it. I've literally just watched it. It's really, really interesting. The only thing that I would say that she should have done and she didn't do is mention the impact of engineering on the climate emergency, but that's absolutely fine. But I would watch that instead. Now, what I want to focus on is this simple fact. All of these numbers are huge. They are absolutely colossal numbers. Now, I want to focus on this number, 80%. Now, 80% is what the Design Council believe. So I'm going to add the word Design Council. 80% is what the Design Council believe is the impact of the designer. 80% of the environmental, apologies about my handwriting and my lack of spelling, I've even got it up in front of me and I still can't spell it, impact of the products, services, okay, so, and infrastructure, another word I can't spell. Okay, around us, okay, so around us is determined, this is the important bit, this is the killer blow, at the design stage. Okay, so that's a quote from the Design Council. That was back in 2002. I can't believe it's really changed. That means that if you are designing cars, or if you are designing aeroplanes, or if you are designing buildings, if you are designing anything, in fact, this number, 80% of the impact, swapping pencils, this is how much opportunity we have. It's how much impact we can have. We can make a massive difference by reducing the amount of carbon that is locked into our products, both embodied, that means that goes into the making of it, and in use. We can reduce substantially, massively, the amount of carbon that we're using. And that is what the future of engineering has to be. We have to be excited about this. We have to be thinking about this at every single step of the way. And I'm going to talk to you about a few different strategies that we might use to approach this problem.